Welcome back. Now, the president of the National Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajaero, has hinted that the new minimum wage proposal can reach as high as 1 million naira per month if inflation and other economic indicators continue to worsen in the country. According to the NLC president, the new minimum wage must reflect the economic realities of the country, adding that as long as the dollar keeps rising against the naira, the demands for a higher minimum wage will be inevitable. Ajaero noted that the initial 200,000 naira minimum wage proposal is no longer tenable, citing the soaring price of food items and inflationary pressure in the economy. He also accused the government of failing to keep most of its agreements with the union, particularly on the issue of temporal wage awards to workers. To drive home their demands now, organized labor have actually issued a 14-day strike warning now to the government to implement a new minimum wage plan in the country, adding that time is running out for more negotiations. At the moment, Nigeria's minimum wage is 30,000 naira, although the federal government announced an additional 35,000 naira temporal wage awards for federal workers. And of course, some state governments too have made that announcement, have actually given out that same amount now as temporal wage awards. Let's discuss this further now. I'm being joined on the program by Ezo Onyekpere, who is the lead director, Center for Social Justice. He joins us from Abuja. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the program. Let's start with this 1 million naira minimum wage that the NLC says it is considering. What's your take on it? Do you think that is something that can actually fly?
Well, that's a proposal. You propose, and when you come into tripartite negotiations, if that's your starting point, that means you are willing to go lower at the end of the day, because it's not just what you propose that will be awarded to you. All the parties have to sit down at the table, discuss their different abilities, of course, the fiscal ability of the government to pay, look at the challenges facing the economy, look at the cost of living, and what actually will take a worker home. So, but if the economy continues the way it is going in terms of the free fall of the naira, which is losing value by the day, $1 million naira is roughly about $666, because at 1,500 to the dollar, that's what it is, which is not so much money.
Absolutely, not so much money. And the mere fact that we're even talking about 1 million naira at the moment as the minimum wage, discussing this proposal, it's a clear reflection, I suppose, of how bad things have gotten in this country when you speak, especially economically.
Yes, I perfectly agree with you. The present challenge we are facing in terms of the value of the naira and the runaway inflation is something that could have been foreseen, because I state that a man or a woman should anticipate the natural consequences of his action. The natural consequences of floating the naira when you are not a productive economy, removing fuel subsidy without thinking through what other measures and interventions that should have been taken to stem the free fall, is exactly what we are witnessing. So I think that what's happened that exacerbated the economic challenge is that the president did not think through. There were actions and activities and steps that should have been taken before floating the naira and removal of fuel subsidy. There were also those actions and steps that should have been taken immediately thereafter. And furthermore, there should have been a committee that will be monitoring the fallouts of the two major reform policies, and then get back to government on time to do what is called course correction, so that it doesn't become what appears to be a basket case as it is today. If you recall, in the last couple of days, in the last 10 days, the CBN has been advising the customs and excise to increase the duties payable by 100, 150, even 4 naira. They even further increased it to 1513 as at yesterday. So even stating that you want 1 million naira by the organized labor is nothing, because you wouldn't know what the value of that 1 million will be in the next 1 month or two. So I think that the more critical challenge is to get economy to become more stable, to stabilize, so that The currency is not a free fall. Inflation is not hitting the roof. So that even if you are negotiating 1 million or 100 or 200,000, you know that in the next 6 months, this is likely to be the value. Of course, the current 30,000 naira to the dollar, to the minimum wage, is about $20.
Yeah.
Okay, $20 in a month. Meanwhile, in many of the countries where people are moving to, you have a minimum wage at between $15 and $20 per hour. So that means what you work in an hour is what is the current minimum wage. So the current one is incredibly low, is ridiculous, but I don't know whether 1 million will be the appropriate sum. But like I said, it depends on the value of the money.
And let me ask you, how difficult is this negotiation going to be? I mean, given some of the, some of the things that you've highlighted, you did talk about revenue is still a very big challenge. You will definitely need money anyway to be able to pay higher salaries. And then you also have the issue of inflation that has basically rendered the current minimum wage, just as you said, almost useless. I mean, $20 per month as the minimum wage, it's just not tenable. And I'm just wondering how difficult that negotiation would be, and what kind of balance both sides can actually strike to arrive at a midpoint now that will be acceptable to all sides.
It will be an extremely difficult negotiation. For instance, if labor starts in 1 million and then in between you have the naira is changing at 2,000 to 1, definitely they may have to shift their position to demand a higher sum. So the challenge is that there is no stability. If there was stability and anybody can project that this 1 million, this will be its value in 6 months' time, it becomes very, very easy to say, okay, let's do the negotiation and conclude. Moreover, you see, the representatives of organized labor will be almost in a catch-22 situation. If they don't negotiate well and put the amount of money high enough, labor and citizens will say, oh, they've sold out. If they now put up such a high sum and it seems extremely unreasonable, oh, the government will say, where do you want us to get the money from? So it is going to be an extremely difficult position. My take is that as they are doing this negotiation, the government should come forward with a stronger economic team. It's not just about people posing that they've done it before. They've not done it anywhere. Managing Lagos State is different from managing the macroeconomic fundamentals of Nigeria. And in Lagos State, one person could simply sit over the money, put it in his pocket, and very few people will be willing and able to talk. But this is Nigeria, very diverse country. And in fact, why I think that the current managers of the economy, what is happening now is beyond them, is that they have no response. Rather than moving along, you keep increasing tariffs every day without thinking how to put a wage. So I expect an expanded economic management team wherein you bring in not just the fiscal and monetary policy alone, bring in people with good knowledge of trade policy, bring in good people with good knowledge of labor and industrial policy. For instance, those 40-something items that the former governor Emefiele have said, well, can't give forex. Removing that bar to say, okay, everybody come and access forex, it makes no sense. You have not increased your take on forex.
But the point is, even the forex is not even there in the first place. So does it even make any sense banning them in the first place when the forex is not there to keep them?
No, what I'm saying is that the former CBN governor said, we don't have the money. Please keep these things out of the official market. Don't come to us to give you money. You now come, oh, you are liberalizing. Everybody should come along. You don't want to remove anything. When even the forex you have now is less than what was available under the Emefiele regime as CBN governor. So that policy framework should have been left as it is. It's not just that you are liberalizing and trying to do the things that will please the IMF and World Bank. Meanwhile, your citizens are simply dying of hunger. And of course, this is multifaceted. It's even beyond the CBN. It's about even security. Why are we hungry? People can't go to their farms because of insecurity. In places like Plateau State, I have a staff in my office who told me clearly that they have no ancestral village to go back to. They were sacked by herdsmen, and those herdsmen over 2 years ago are occupying their villages. So they moved away, ran away from their villages. There's nothing like Christmas or Hajj or a Muslim festival. You say you are going back to your village. There is no more village.
I get your point. Let's quickly talk about especially the issue of food that you alluded to now. The government had, the president and the governors, of course, had a meeting on the 15th of February, and part of the outcome of that meeting, part of the outcome was that the government, because there were calls before that meeting, that the government should allow for the importation of food, because we know food items are banned from coming in. So that the government should probably open the borders to allow food now from other countries to come in. But the government came out very strongly to say it is not going to do that. Do you think the government should probably have considered that option, perhaps to sort of ease the situation for a bit before probably locking up the border again?
Where will you get the foreign exchange to import the food? I am 100% in support of the federal government to say do not import. But that position comes also with another responsibility. There should be follow-up action in terms of making sure that farmers are safe to go back to their farms. The food baskets in Benue, Niger, Plateau, they should be able to get back to their farms, produce a lot, and also ensure that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Water Resources simply puts all the money that's been budgeted to them to appropriate use and not waste it one way or the other. So I'm in support, but it also presupposes that other actions will be taken to make sure that the fertile lands of Nigeria begin to feed Nigerians once more.
I'm just wondering also, in this whole issue of discussion now around the minimum wage, the labor unions, of course, are discussing with the government. Where does that leave the private sector? Because whether we like it or not, the private sector is actually, when you do a cumulative analysis, is actually the biggest employer of labor in this country and not the government. I mean, small businesses employ the highest in this country, and I'm just wondering where that leaves, I mean, where this whole discussion about the minimum wage actually leaves them, because they are not part of, you know, these ongoing negotiations and all of that. Would they be able to afford it?
No, the point is that once a minimum wage is fixed, it's both for the public and private sector. Now, that tells us about the multidimensional nature of these negotiations and the challenges we are facing. So it is like an ecosystem, like a ball. Once one part of it is punctured, the whole balloon-like substance goes down. So in essence, this negotiation should also offer the government an opportunity to critically review the policies that are causing a lot of challenges. There's nothing that says that we must move in a linear shape to say, oh, we must be going up. We can't go sideways, we can't go backwards. So when you introduce a program and you see that it is not working and the policy framework is not working, there's nothing that says you cannot go back, or you cannot, instead of full liberalization, come back to a little bit of control, 50% control, 50% liberalization, to be able to stem the, free fall. So this is an opportunity to say, let's wait a minute. What is really the problem? And also, in this dialogue, issues around affordability on the part of the government will come in. And the question will be, what steps have the federal government taken to ensure that the easiest place where we can get foreign exchange or money in the short term, which is crude oil production, what steps have they taken to make sure that we are meeting our OPEC quota? These are questions that need to be answered, because today we are still doing 1.4, not up to 1.5. Our OPEC quota of 1.7, 1.8, we are not meeting it. And ideally, we should be targeting doing 2 million, 2.5. And once we're able to do it, that is a source that can quickly rebound the Nigerian economy while we now continue on the striving for diversification. So that's why I'm saying this negotiation offers an opportunity to think through, to say, wait a minute, I've done this thing for 8 months or 7 months. I've floated the Naira. I've said the fuel subsidy no more. Where has it taken us? Is it possible we get back a little, or is it possible we continue? If we want to continue, where is the end? Is there any light at the end of the tunnel? What exactly do we need to do to, stop this free fall? So that's the way I'm looking at it.
And the truth is that fuel subsidy is actually not gone. It's actually back.
It may have been back, but I read in one of the newspapers, I think The Guardian, where they claimed they were doing almost 900.
Yes, exactly, and probably more than that now.
But that's not true. That's not true, my brother. That's not true. This is another set of guys who have simply set up another job for themselves. What story are we talking about? Where is this 900 billion coming from? What is the differential between what they're paying and the cost of import? I am saying that the government is a little bit clueless. Now, we were celebrating the Dangote refinery and also thinking that once the Port Harcourt and Dangote refinery come on board, that we will save the money that we use, the dollars we use to import refined petroleum, because we are told that of all our imports, refined petroleum products take up almost about 35%
yes, exactly.
of all the money we use for imports. Now, what we are supposed to gain as Dangote is coming on board, we are losing, because Dangote, the NNPC and the local companies that are digging up crude oil can no longer supply. Dangote has just placed an order from the US for crude feedstock for his refinery. So whatever could have been gained from stopping importation, we lose it in terms of the foreign currency that Dangote and Co. we use now to import crude. So do you see what I'm saying?
The bulk of the stock that Dangote is actually using at the moment, came from Nigeria. That's just it.
No. The one he came from Nigeria, the one he's using in the first 1 or 2 months. But he has seen that an NPC and Co are not able to supply. He has made orders.
Yes,
he has already made orders from the US.
It's a backup. You're quite right. It's a backup.
No, there's no question of backup. It's like you are a businessman. You have such a big facility. True. The only way you can break even and make progress is that facility should be running 24/7 or in shifts. So if an NPC is only able to give you crude that you could do for the next 6 weeks, and you've asked them, how do I get the one after the first 6 weeks, and they're not responding, you go for where you can get it so as to keep your machinery in work so that you can begin to see of how to pay back the loans.
And the irony of the whole thing is we are even not sure that even the supplies he gets from the NNPC or from some of these oil majors here in Nigeria will be paid in Naira. It's, that is still another point. We're not sure yet.
So nothing is really gained. Nothing is really gained. And that's why I'm saying that those currently running the economy appear not to have a clue on even low-hanging fruits and what to do. You can declare a state of emergency in the oil sector. Anybody caught doing these things, you just send him, lock him up. Don't burn the ships like they've been doing. Get out the crude oil, lock him up, and make his life extremely difficult. Service chiefs, chief of naval staff, chief of air staff, the police, these ones, you give them marching orders. By the time you have information that this thing is continuing, you sack the person and get in another person, because this is a grave national emergency. So it is not a joke. It's not a joke. Even in our little offices, we are finding it difficult. I mean, to buy diesel as 1,250 or 270 per liter. I have a generator that goes about 120 liters every week. Sometimes more than that. Where do you get the money? Tough. What do you produce?
No doubt.
Yes. So I'm imagining what those in production factories are doing. If a small office I have will be making me to spend almost 150,000 every week on diesel.
I can understand. I think we'll just have to leave it there. There's Enyekwere, Lead Director, Center for Social Justice. Thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you so very much, sir. All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.